welcome back to my channel. This is Nickie. I am in my second year homeschool to an only child, and I want to talk to you about homeschooling an only child. Is it doable? Is it hard? Are there a lot of misconceptions around homeschooling an only child? Absolutely. Let's talk about it. So my daughter is 7 and we are in the first grade. We started this journey as the pandemic hit, and she was in a preschool at a high school, and I took that class in high school, so I absolutely wanted her to be a part of that because that was so cool for me to experience as a high school student, to be able to teach little kids. But anyway, she was in preschool when it shut down in her second year of preschool. So we decided, honestly, I was still intending to send her to kindergarten at that point because the world, we never expected or anticipated the world to go the way it did, as long as it has been being in this pandemic. So I racked my brain, but the more I really sat there and thought about it, the more my heart was convinced I had to homeschool her. Now, your circumstances may be completely different, but this is just my story. I was not a homeschooled child. I went to a Catholic school for preschool up until 8th grade, and then I went to a regular public school for high school. So I had no idea what I was doing. I had so many questions about how I would do it, and I'll be honest, a lot of people doubted my capabilities, I feel like, because people think, well, you're not a teacher. You didn't go to school for teaching. You can't possibly teach your kid. And I'll just be honest, like, I had kind of the same insecurities until we started homeschooling. So we've been homeschooling now for kindergarten and now for full first grade, and we are almost wrapping up our first grade year here. So pretty much 2 full school years. Now, is homeschooling an only child easy? I think the misconception is out there that because I have one kid that it's easier. Absolutely not. And I'm going to tell you why. It's simple, right? Like, if you have siblings, your kiddo can easily have playmates for life. And I wouldn't say that it's easier either way. Like, if you have siblings, I'm not saying your homeschool life is easier than mine or harder or whatever. Honestly, I think it's simply just different. We are able to homeschool and homeschool well because it is just one-on-one. That may be a little bit easier for us, but it's different in the aspect of, as soon as we're done with our homeschooling day, I then have to set aside intentional play for her, because I am her best friend and her mom and her teacher and all of the things. Like, I am solely that person to her because I'm the only other person in the house with her during the day. So we get a ton of one-on-one interaction. But I have to be intentional with play. Otherwise, she can struggle at times to be independent in that way. So I set out things that I think she could play with that day. I print things off the internet that I think she can do. I have lots of things that I have to do to be intentional about our day. Otherwise, it is mentally exhausting. Now, I am not one of many kids, so it's not typically physically exhausting because I'm not having to chase around other kids and do all the other things. I am only dealing with a 7-year-old who, I don't have to watch like a hawk all the time. So there are lots of things that make it easier. And if you are homeschooling and only, do not get discouraged, because it can be done, and it can be done with grace. There are a few things that I do recommend, as a lot of people will have the common myths of not having socialization. I think as every single homeschool mom has been able to attest, that the socialization myths are debunked really, really fast. We'll all be the first to tell you that if anything, they're over socialized. They are constantly socialized because we're constantly in the real life. We are going to the grocery stores. We are going on vacations. We are going and doing all the things. We have homeschool groups. We have going to the library. We're constantly involved with everyday real life people and scenarios. We're not just sitting around in a classroom full of 30 peers of the same age. I feel like when we were in school, I was constantly told that we weren't there to socialize. So it's funny to me how people then related homeschooling to like your kids not being socialized. It's just the furthest thing from the truth. My kid, if you talk to her, if anyone knows her, she is not afraid to talk to you. She is very much an open book and has no problem making friends and just being very open. But I also attest this to me putting her out there. We've joined class upon class upon class, and I don't mean school classes. I mean sports. I mean, she did an art class at one point. She did, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now, but we've constantly had her involved in things. When we figured out we were homeschooling, we dove into the internet, and right now, like the pandemic with the surge with homeschooling was the perfect time, because it became real popular real fast, because so many families didn't want to put their kid in online learning, or even just in the pandemic's atmosphere. So it's popular, and the groups flew wild, and so many people were homeschooling. So of course, like, we got to meet up with groups, and we found a couple groups of kids that we love to meet up with. And so she has friends, and so there's a lot of things that, I mean, she's getting her fair share of socialization beyond what she has with me and our family, because I want to make it clear that if you don't have that community, it's okay, because she socializing, or your kid socializing with you as a parent, is all your kid needs. They will get it gradually as time goes on. So anyway, socialization check. We've got it under control. It's completely debunked. And she's an only child, and she's getting the socialization. So things that I put her in are, we do meet up with people or friends, other homeschool friends, once or twice a week. We try. Sometimes it really just depends on your kid. If your kid is feeling lonely or needing things that you can't necessarily give them all the time, then by all means get your kids more involved than once or twice a week. I was an only child, so I know how it is to kind of feel like your parents are your friends, and like needing other kid interaction. And like, I totally get that. So that is why we join things. We hang out with friends and we get our fair share. But if she's feeling like she just wants to stay home, then we stay home. So winter's hard because, staying home isn't always, we're in the Chicagoland area, so it gets cold, and not always easy, especially with the pandemic, to get out and go places. So with that being said, she does swimming right now. That is her main sport, and we are adding on soccer and basketball. So her physical activity is getting there, and then we are still meeting up with friends at the park. We still have some friends that have kids that are in school. We meet up with them in the evening or on the weekends. We're constantly out and about and doing all the things. So don't let having an only child deter you from thinking you can't homeschool them and do it well, because I'm here to tell you that we're doing it well, and she's getting all the learning in with our one-on-one time. We are able to typically wrap up our homeschool in an hour. Granted, this is first grade. We don't have a whole lot of time that we have to spend on lessons. We are doing math and reading and a little bit of social studies, geography, art, things like that, science, but we don't do them every day. And so the last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is boundaries. I know boundaries have become pretty popular these days for a lot of different reasons, but I feel like we have to have boundaries with our kids, especially as if you are dealing with an only child, because they can drain you. Not in a bad way, not necessarily, or it can be in a bad way too, but most of the time it's just exhausting because they want you to do everything with them. They don't have another playmate sibling to, dabble into toys or whatever it may be. So sometimes I have to set the boundaries of, okay, I can do this from 9 o'clock till noon. I'll be on my A game. I will help you. I will do all the things. And then from say lunch till 2, we are on a break. That's independent time. Whether that be she works out of workbooks, or she watches a show, or she does a game, or, there are a lot of things she can do independently, and that will give me some time to myself to get things done, whether that's laundry or just cleaning or, whatever it may be. It gives me a window of time where I don't have to worry about entertaining her, so to say. I just wanted to come on here because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of only child homeschool being shared on YouTube or social medias, and I want to be the one with the voice. I want to tell you you can do it. I want to tell you to come vent to me, to come with me with your struggles or your positives, because Lord knows we all need everything. We need to hear it all. We need the good and the bad and the in-betweens. And if you have an interest in homeschooling an only child, and let me specify, when I talk about only child, it can be a variety of things as well. It can be that you literally only have one child, or it can be that you have one child that you're homeschooling or want to homeschool, and your other children go to school for whatever reasons that you have separated for your kids. And it can mean a bunch of things, like your other kids are too little and you only have one that's older that you want to homeschool. It's all possible. And it doesn't mean that it will be easy. I don't think any homeschool, any amount of kids is easy. It takes work, it takes effort, it takes time. And it's so worth it, you guys, so worth it. So I'm going to keep giving you only child content, because that is our homeschool as of right now, is only child. And I'm going to try my best to give you feedback and tips and tricks and constantly show you what we're doing. I plan to get a video up of just games or single player games, just things that I can keep her occupied with in the meantime of, like, say I'm doing a break, what she does during her independent play, and what we do together as a family. So I have lots of content coming for you. I hope if you enjoyed this video, you give it a big thumbs up. That does help me out. And if you want to subscribe and ring the bell for any future videos of mine, that will let you know if what else I decide to upload for you. So yeah, I think that's it regarding me talking to you guys right now about, homeschooling an only child. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and remember, you can do this. It is possible. Make it happen. Bye.